Hello and welcome to my review of the Dragon Momoko Destiny Gundam Heine Custom Metal Build version. This is a third-party kit based off the Bandai Metal Build Destiny Gundam. So right out of the box, you're going to get the Destiny Gundam and its Heine Custom color scheme, a beam rifle, a small beam shield, an anti-ship sword, a large cannon, beam saber effect parts, beam boomerang effect parts for the anti-ship sword, effect parts for the shield, and a lot of interchangeable hands. You'll also get a large sheet of foil stickers, a large sheet of water slide decals, a small sheet of foil water slides, and a huge action base. Normally, you'd also get effect parts for the Wings of Light and the beam shield, but this is a commission build, and the client didn't send them because the effect parts seemed way too brittle. Regardless, you can see the wings here in the manual, and they are absolutely massive. You can also see the beam effect part. It comes in two parts, and I only have the top one. So here is the completed Destiny Gundam without its weapons. As you can see, it is in the Heine orange and yellow color scheme. Being based off the metal build, the kit has a lot of spiky edges and is super stylized. I think overall it looks pretty good, especially the wings. Though I think the oversized side skirts are a bit much and the small feet seem a bit out of proportion. So here's a quick spin around. So for a bit of backstory, Heine was a Zaft Ace pilot that showed up in Seed Destiny. Zaft had designed this Destiny Gundam for him, but he died. So moving on to the articulation, the head has great mobility up and down and a bit side to side. It has good rotation, right and left, and the neck allows it to chicken neck ever so slightly. So the chest is going to be weirdly elongated, but for mobility, it's not going to be able to ab crunch forward at all, but you can get a pretty decent arc back if he wants to look up at the sky. It has a bit of side-to-side movement, but the joint here is very stiff, and these giant side skirts tend to poke into his sides. And he can rotate at the waist just a little bit. So the shoulder is a bit interesting, and the front panel can be lifted up ever so slightly. And likewise, the entire shoulder can also be lifted up so you can see the inner joint, though I'm not sure why you wanted to expose that. It also contains the spiky beam boomerang, which can also double as beam sabers. For articulation, you can pop the shoulder out a reasonable degree to reach his hand across his chest. So for the arm, you're going to be able to rotate it here 360 degrees, though the giant arm guard might bump into the wings. Similarly, the lower arm can also rotate independently, and the arm guard here can swing around like so. The wrist here is nothing too special, and for the arm bend, you're going to get a solid 180 degree bend. So onto the waist, I've removed the wings to better show off the articulation. The front skirt can flip up 90 degrees, no problem. The side skirt is going to be on a ball joint, so it can rotate around like so and wiggle back and forth. The back skirt is also going to be able to flip up 90 degrees, no problem. There's going to be a wedge here which can plug into the beam rifle, and a hole for the action base attachment. So for the legs, you can kick it forward 90 degrees. The back kick is going to be slightly less, but still pretty impressive. You can't really do any splits, though you can rotate the side skirt out of the way to get a bit of movement that way. And for the knee bend, you're going to get a nice 180 degree bend with some nice sliding knee armor. So onto the lower leg, the back of the leg can flip up to show off some boosters. The ankle has a decent amount of wiggle room, both side to side and front to back. And of course, the front of the feet can bend down for that classic Seed aerial pose. So here is the backpack of the Destiny Gundam. You're going to get these two weapon slots, as well as this flat back here, which can move up and down, along with the booster underneath. In terms of movement, if you slide the weapon pod out of the way, you're going to be able to angle the wings backwards. And you can also slide it up like so for a more deployed motion. And to actually deploy the wings, you're just going to slide the wings up. And as you can see, these mini wings will naturally spread, as well as the top piece up here pop up to show off some of the inner frame. I really like all the details on the underside of the wings. It looks like a lot of thrusters, and it looks very cool. So onto the weapons, the beam rifle is pretty blocky. The scope can move around like so. The sub handle can also swing around. The bottom of the main handle can also swing out, though I'm not quite sure why. On the back side here is going to be this panel that you can remove to plug into the back of the Gundam. The shield here is pretty small, but you can slide it open, like so. And on the back you're going to find the attachment mechanism. It should just clip on to the side of the arm guard. Here is the beam boomerang. It's got 2 nice shades of gray on it. And as you can see, it comes with the beam effect part for the boomerang, as well as the beam saber. So here is the compact beam cannon. You can deploy it by pulling out this piece and moving the handle into position for a very long beam cannon. And it can get even bigger if you slide up the piece up here and pull down the piece back here, like so. Boom. And finally, here is the compact sword. The handle can slide open so you can get the hands to actually hold it. And to deploy it, you're just going to pull out this piece like so and fold down the 2 handles over here. And for the final step, if you pull back here on this fin, the tip of the sword is going to pop out, and that's going to leave room for the beam effect part. Lining up the beam effect part and getting it to fit in there can be a bit tough, but once you do, it stays there pretty well, and it looks pretty cool. So here is the fully armed Destiny Gundam Heine Custom. The weapons are copied from the middle build as well, so they stylistically fit pretty well. I like the bit of asymmetry on the back with the sword and the beam cannon poking out. Overall, it looks pretty intimidating. Here's a quick spin around. He's going to pull off the looking down the beam rifle pose pretty easily, though the heavy backpack does mean that you need to slightly angle his legs. Of course, no one wants to pose the Destiny on the ground. Even the Bandai Master Grade comes with a stand. The stand here is going to be absolutely massive. It's going to be a slightly modified version of the Bandai Master Grade Strike RM base. You're going to get the cable here for the catapult system. The stand is going to have 4 different positions, and the action-based attachment here will just plug into the back of the Gundam. So while the connection isn't perfect, it does work, and here up in the air, he can fully spread his wings and dynamically pose for the title card. Oh wait, you never got one. Getting him to hold his giant sword is actually pretty interesting. There's going to be this wedge here on the palm of the hand, which should fit into one of 2 notches on the sword handle. So posing him with a giant sword is a bit difficult. The sword is very heavy and the plastic arm joints just aren't up to the task of holding it. I think on the middle build version it would work a lot better, since the metal joints would mean the overall frame is a lot stronger. Deploying the cannon is just a matter of maneuvering the arm on the backpack and getting the hand onto the handle, and with both of his huge weapons deployed, this is probably my favorite way to display him. So now for my final thoughts on the Dragon Momoko Destiny Gundam Heine Custom Middle Build version. Starting with the cons, this is a third-party or bootleg kit. The plastic is much softer and there are a lot of fitting issues. This can make the build very tiring, as there are a lot of components to build. The action base, while serviceable and works, isn't quite as tight as I'd like it to be. The kit also takes up a lot of space. Between the huge action base, the large backpack, and the oversized wings of light, you'll need quite a bit of shelf space. However, the biggest con for me has to be the anti-ship sword. It's simply too heavy for the arm to hold at any position. If you want it to be posed in any sort of dynamic angle, you'll need to use some kind of trick, mainly having it rest against a piece of armor. Here in this pose, it's actually resting against the giant skirt armor. Normally, it would just sag all the way down. So onto the pros, one of which is that it's a real looker and an eye-catcher. The middle build design has always been form over function, and the Destiny is no exception. Of course, the looks of the kit are more or less just a copy of the Bandai middle build, so can't give Dragon Momoko too much credit there. Regardless, it has a real shelf presence. Another pro is that the kit has a lot of accessories. Between all the Destiny's weapons, the action base, and the giant wings of light, you also get a lot of water slide decals that you can apply at your leisure. You're really getting your bang for your buck. So overall, this isn't a bad kit per se, but you're definitely buying this for its looks. It's going to come with all the typical problems that you find with third-party kits. If you don't want to drop money on the expensive Bandai middle build, this isn't a bad alternative. So this has been my look at the Dragon Momoko Destiny Gundam. Please comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.